All right, welcome to another episode on AJ's Takeaways from my book of the month. If you haven't listened to one of these before, then let me tell you, I made a decision this year to read 2 books a month. And so that is stretching myself, that is challenging myself. I'm doing a lot of reading and it's been really good. And so my book of the month this month, one of them was The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Now, I had never heard about this book until this summer. However, there's more than 2 million copies sold of this book. So how have I not heard of this? How has someone recommended this to me? I don't know, but I'm going to recommend it to you. And so here are some of my key takeaways from The Psychology of Money and why it may be worth a read to you. The one overarching thing that I keep talking about with everyone that I run into, anytime I have a chance to talk about this book, here's my number one thing that I just kind of felt like was a through line through this whole book, which is ultimately why is there financial failure? Right. And it's personal or business, but what causes financial failure? And a lot of it has to do with taking risks that are unnecessary. And so the big takeaway that I pulled away from the first half of the book was this one quote that just like got ingrained on my heart. And here's the quote in my words. This is not the way that Morgan described it, but this is how I heard it, which is the biggest number one financial risk a failure is when you risk what you have for what you don't need. You see, the risk of financial failure is when you risk what you have for what you don't need. That was so powerful for me for this entire book of going, man, like when you think about all these corporate scandals, right? The Enrons, even the WeWorks, the Theranos, the Sackler family with, the opioid crisis and OxyContin to, just the Bernie Madoff situation, Lehman Brothers, all these different things. You kind of just sit back and go, what happened? Like, what? And it was a really powerful reminder of, Bernie Madoff specific. And this was a case study in the book of going, he had a very successful firm prior to this unbelievable Ponzi scheme of the most incredible magnitude that the entire nation has felt the impacts of. But he already had a very successful multi 8-figure business doing $50 million a year. He was already doing well. So why would he risk everything he had in his business, his family, his reputation, his integrity, his financial life, his freedom for more of what he didn't need? Why would he do that? And I think we all know deep down it's pride, it's greed, it's eager, it's the hunger for more power, it's comparison of going, hey, I'm in this world where there's so many people that are doing more than me. It's like, I want to be like them. I want to seem to be as important as them. I want to feel as important to them. So, in order to feel that way, I need more. I need more money. I need more stuff. I need more cars. I need a bigger house. I need planes and yachts and more dollars in the bank account. When we all know that's not what's going to make us feel worthy. We know that deep down because I bet all of us has bought something where we feel buyer's remorse. We bought something because in the moment and we thought it was going to make us feel more important, more special, more valued, more included, right? That's not true because it didn't make us feel that way. It probably caused sleepless nights. It probably caused a lot of anxiety, regret, and a lot of anxiety is probably what it caused. But I guarantee you, nobody saw you and looked at this thing that you have, house, car, piece of clothing, purse, whatever. No one looked at that and goes, wow, that one right there, she must really have it together. They don't do that. They look at your thing and they go, I wonder how much that costs. Oh, I wonder if they have money, but they look at the item. They don't look at you. They look at the item, but yet we're willing to risk our health, our sleep, our sanity, our families, our relationships for stuff, right? And in theory, we know that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but in practice, we do it every day. right? We leverage ourselves in ways that we shouldn't because we have an unhealthy relationship with money because we think money is going to give us something that money can't. We say money, we say this and we know it, that money can't buy happiness, but yet we sure do try. We try because we pick careers that are all about money. We pick jobs that pay the most, even if they take us away from our friends and family and our faith and our relationships. But man, it's one day it's going to pay off, and it's like, no, no. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to have a lot of money, and you're going to realize that you're still not where you thought you should be. That you're still not happy the way you thought you would be, but you have less relationships, you have less relational equity, you have less freedom, probably less health, less time because you work all the time. Now, you know that I speak this way because I am speaking from experience. I have been that person. I've been in those shoes, and I'm very grateful I'm not today. And I know that there's this like temptation, that this weird relationship that we have with money, right? The psychology of how we look at money. It's not logical. It's not. It's actually really emotional. We don't, walk through the halls of the hallways of the mall and go, let's see what's in my banking account. And, if I spend this money here, what would it be if I put it in a, IRA or a mutual fund and I invested it? And what would those returns be versus what if I bought this thing that's never going to do that? We don't do that, right? Because that's a logical conversation. We process money emotionally. How's it going to make me feel? How's it going to make me look? How's it going to make others look at me? See, that's how we treat it. And it's scary because that happens at a societal and economic level. It's not just me and you as we're making small purchase decisions or even large purchase decisions. This happens at a government level, a corporate level. This happens at a policy making level, happens with our politicians. And it's because we don't have our idea and our relationship right with money. And that is why this book is so powerful. It doesn't just talk about logical ways of investing, although that is a huge part of the book of, like what are some healthy ways that you should look at money with savings and investing and spending. That is a huge part of the book. But I think the more significant part is the way we feel about money, our relationship with money, and how that dictates so much more than we realize on a daily basis. It dictates what majors we get in college, what jobs we take, what promotions we're after, where we live, where we move, where our kids go to school. It's everywhere. It's so invasive that we don't even notice it. But it's time to notice it because it does matter, because we know that money doesn't buy happiness. And we've got to recognize what does give you happiness, because it's not money. Because you can have tons of money and not be happy, but you could have little money and be really happy. And I think a part of that happens by something that Morgan shared in the book. He said, there is no amount of money that will ever buy peace of mind. And peace of mind is worth a lot. And one of the quotes in the book that I loved from Warren Buffett, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in the way that he has invested, which is conservatively, with the long game in mind. Right? It is nothing too high, nothing too low, but it's like, this is the long game. It's compounding interest. And in order for compounding interest to work, you have to stay in it. You don't pull out when the market goes crazy. You stay in it, right? It's the long game. If you really want to see that work, it's not a few years, it's decades. But if you stick to it, it will work out. That's a game of patience. And it's something that we all desperately need more of in this world. Truly, investing is a game of patience, not risk. Patience, right? And so one of the quotes he said is, I think it was 2006, and they were beginning to do the search for his successor. And he was talking about the type of person that they were looking for, someone with a healthy level of both optimism and paranoia. He said, but ultimately, here's my promise to all of my stakeholders and my shareholders is that I will not risk not even one night of sleep in order to gain more profit. I will say that again. Warren Buffett, one of the most wealthy individuals in the world, said, I will not lose even one night of sleep in order to gain more profits. Why? Because it's not worth it. It's not worth sleepless nights, anxiety, and stress to get more of what you don't need. It's not worth it. Your health, your family, your faith, your freedom, and that's time and money. That's what's worth it. And you don't have to have a lot of money to have those things. So that relationship with money, the emotions that are tied with money, that psychology is what this book is all about, and why I will recommend it to you, and why I will recommend it to every single person that I come across, because I think it's a book worth reading. You don't have to agree with every concept and every principle, but it's one of those books where it's like, you've got to look at the emotional side of your relationship with money and not just the logical side. And this is what that book does in such a deep way, as well as hitting on a lot of the tactical and logical. So the psychology of money, here's your takeaways from AJ, Morgan Housel. Go check it out. We'll see you next time.